Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, Thank you guys for all coming out. As we all know, that on Sunday morning, Sacramento was hit with a tragic moment that shook our city, um, took lives, and got us to a point of reflection, and I think a real deep lens of looking at how do we change what our city looks like, the dynamics of our city. How do we invest in our future? How do we support those who haven't been supported before? How do we make our city safer? And what those investments look like to make our city safer. Today we come together not as a full city, but with those who are feeling compelled to make sure that we lift the voices and the hearts of those families that are still hurting, those families that are healing, those families that are devastated. This is just a small fraction of our community, a small fraction. But this is also a time for all of us as a city, not just one demographic, because this affects all of us in the city. This happened in our downtown area, a place that's supposed to be safe, a place many people who are here live, many people here work, many people here are entertained, or many people celebrate moments of glory and admiration. But we've been struck by senseless acts of violence, and we are not going to normalize that senseless act of violence. So today we've come together just to show unity, to show that the people, that we are here for them, that we're supporting them, and that public officials are hearing and listening to the voices of the voiceless and are ready to support major efforts to make major change. This is no longer going to be a talking point, but it's going to be action behind all of the talking and the conversation, because we need to move forward with what change looks like. So without further ado, I would like to bring our Mayor, Darrell Steinberg.
Thank you very much, Barry, for your strong voice and your leadership. I am really gratified, actually, that the media, the national media, is here to see the strength of our wonderful city, Sacramento. But I want to make sure that when we're done with this part of it, that we include everybody who is behind the cameras as well. And we sit together in circle, in solidarity, and that everybody is included in this tonight. Tonight we are here for John Taya, for Melinda, for Sergio, for Devonta, for Joshua, and for Yamila. We gathered today to mourn their senseless deaths, and we gather for their loved ones, some of who are represented here tonight. I am joined by a number of my colleagues, and you will hear from some of them or anybody who wants to speak tonight. Councilmember Katie Valenzuela, who has given eloquent voice to this moment over the last several days. Council members Mai Vang and Rick Jennings and Jeff Harris and Sean Laloe and former Assembly member and Insurance Commissioner Dave Jones, and Congresswoman Matsui's staff is here, Glenda Corcoran and Gabby Herrera, and the Downtown Partnership leadership, and so many community leaders, and just people without titles who came down to say they care and that they mourn with us. We stand at a solemn place here in Sacramento. It's Ali Yousefi Square. Ali was a developer, a young man who died at age 35 of cancer. And he was one of the souls of our community who believed in the future, who believed that these places of gathering should be places of joy and places of peace. And so we gather here to remember the victims and to commit ourselves to doing all we can to end the stain of violence, not only in our community, but throughout the state, throughout the country, and throughout the world, because the national spotlight is on us for the moment. And so if we can lift our voices as we have over these last couple days, to decry the senseless violence and the sickness that exists in our country around the proliferation of assault weapons and ghost guns and weapons that indiscriminately kill and injure. We will lift our voices to do so, and we will never give in or give up to the idea that in this country of blue and red, that it's just impossible to make any real change. We've given voice to these last couple of days about how important it is to continue what we've started here in Sacramento, and that is to invest more in young people. And yes, there were adults that were killed, but we all know it's about moving upstream, because every child, every teenager, every young adult should have nothing but good and great choices. But if I have one more minute here, I want to talk about something that I have not talked about this week, but that is close to my heart tonight. I've spent a lot of my adult life fighting for better mental health services for people in need. And it is long past time that we make mental health a top-tier public health priority in this country. You can get a room if you have a heart problem and you are rushed to the emergency room and you need a stent, but you'll lie out in a gurney in the middle of a hallway if you're in the midst of a psychiatric crisis. We'll stop and help anybody whose leg or arm is bleeding because they've been physically injured, but we walk by the people who are severely mentally ill, who live on our streets. And among our young people, especially our young people, there's too much hopelessness and too much of a feeling like they don't know what their future is or if they even have a future. And there's a lot of things we need to do to build better mental health. But you know what's at the core of mental health and what this gathering is really about? It is about connecting better with one another. It is about caring for one another. It's about being kind to the stranger. It's about making sure that we not only provide more opportunities for young people, but that we listen to them and that we talk to them. Because loneliness and disconnection is the source of most mental illness. Poverty is the source of most mental illness. And so let us create a gentler world by paying attention to the real epidemic in our country, and that is the fact that people are hurting. People are hurting because they're left out, they're left behind, they don't have enough to live, they don't know what their future is. That's not an excuse for violence in any way. But if this occasion can elevate the issue of caring better for one another, treating each other with more kindness, and attending to mental health as well as physical health, we'll save a lot of lives and we'll be a better community. Thank you. Councilmember Valenzuela.
So no offense, but I didn't come here tonight to talk to any of you. I came here tonight for my community that's standing behind you and behind me here. I'm not going to talk about policy. I'm not going to talk about anything but the people that we've lost. Sergio Harris, who has family here tonight. Devazia Turner. Joshua. Jontaya Alexander. Yamil Martinez Andrade. And Melinda, an unhoused woman who we all knew. We need to be together as a community right now, and I hope that you will all stay when the cameras speak so we can stay. And for all of you out there, thank you for coming. I hope you'll stay when the cameras are gone so we can get to the work of healing and working together. Thank you.
Members, if anybody else wants to say a word of comfort, you're welcome to. But anybody here who wants to.
Is there anyone from the family?
Is there any family member who is here? Okay.
I'm Bishop Parnell M. Lovelace Jr. And I want us, if we could join together in prayer for our families and for our city. Will you join me in prayer? Father, I thank you that you care for us. I thank you that you care for these families that are grieving. You care for these families who have loved ones that are in the hospital. You care for our community. And I ask you, Father, that you will wrap your arms around every one of these family members. I ask you to wrap your arms around our community. Give us the boldness and the courage to do whatever we need to do so that, Father, there will be change. And that, Father, we as a city, the city of Sacramento, will live as our name denotes, the city of Sacrament, a holy place. Let love prevail in this city. Let care prevail in this city. Thank you. Let us not just go about our day and forget the lives, the people who will forever be changed, including ourselves. We need your help, oh God. We need your peace. Only you can do it. So we call upon you, and we trust you for it. Comfort us, that we may comfort others. And we'll give you all the praise and all the glory. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I would like everybody in the back and the front to raise up your candles. Raise up your candles. We have to understand what this moment means to our city as the nation is watching our city. We no longer can stand by good talking points or ideas that have no actions. People died. 6 people died. More were injured. Our city is shook. This is the second mass shooting we've had in Sacramento. What are we going to do about that, city? Our voices can no longer be silent. You must be heard. Your public officials are right here to hear you. Do not be silent.
They were here last time. I apologize. My cousin, Sergio, was gunned down.
Come, brother. Come, brother. Come on. Come, brother. Be heard.
Speak your truth.
Speak your truth. This is a truth session.
The truth is this. My cousin Sergio Harris, my first cousin Sergio Harris, was gunned down right down the street nothing but a few days ago, along with 5 other men and women. 16 other people are sitting in a hospital right now fighting for their life. The last time we had a mass shooting, we did the same thing. Sat out here, held up our candles, talked about the police are here for us now, the public officials are for us now. They're here for us. How are they here for us when we sitting here doing the same damn thing again? The same thing. So who's gonna stop it? Because ain't nobody bringing Sergio back. Nobody. I don't get to go kick it with my cousin tomorrow. The rest of his family doesn't get to kick it with him tomorrow. Instead, we have to put our money together and plan a funeral. Instead, we have to sit back and bury this man. How many times are we going to sit back and talk about the next time? How many more times is this man going to come up here and have to give this same speech because our public officials who are supposed to sit back and stand for us don't? And don't get me wrong, I'm not just blaming the public officials. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is a change has to start. When the hell are we going to let it start? When are we going to get up off our butts, off our couches, off our phones, and start doing something? It's not all about mental health. People sitting in that county jail, everybody in there ain't crazy. They know damn well what they did. They have to be held accountable for their actions. The same way every last one of us have to be held accountable for our actions. If I hit somebody in the mouth, you're not going to arrest him. You're not going to sit back and say, oh, well, Mr. Henderson must have had mental issues. No. You're going to book me, and I'm going to have to pay the piper. I can't blame it on everything else. So when is every man, woman, and child out here going to stand up on their own two, take accountability for what they're doing, and change our city? Like the man said, we made national headlines. Great. For what? For putting 6 people in the ground and having 16 more others sitting in the hospital fighting for their life? Unacceptable. I'm just one man. That's all I am. I'm one dude. But my truth will reach the ears of thousands. And this is what we have to change. We can't come up in here anymore and have vigils and sit back and say it's not going to happen again. We got to change things. When the hell are we going to start? How many of you out there, by a raise of hands, are willing to start tonight? And that means, and what that means, cameras, get these people that are holding up their hands. Let our city, let the nation see who's going to start this change. Because I'll be the first one to raise my hand right now. This change has to be made. Because if it's not made, I could be the next one dead. You could be the next one dead. She could be the next one dead. And then we're up here giving the same speech again. And that starts with telling our youth that it's okay if you're not accepted. There are people that will accept you. It's okay that you come from an impoverished neighborhood. There are a lot of people that get up out of those neighborhoods. My cousin was one of them. He was a father. He was a husband. He was a great man. And he had his life taken from him, shot in the back.
Say that. Twice.
Unacceptable. Twice. Unacceptable. The change has to be made. And if you want to know who's going to make the change, when you go home, look in the damn mirror.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Yes,
Go.
thank you.
Raw emotions. Raw truth. But see, we're not here to have a moment where we're comfortable. This is not why we're here. If you are not uncomfortable with what is going on right now, if you're desensitized on what's going on right now, you're in the wrong place. I'm not only challenging my public officials, law enforcement, I'm challenging the people. People with the cameras, people with the candles. What are you going to do tomorrow to make change? Why are we here again? Or better yet, why weren't you there when a 17-year-old was killed on Stockton Boulevard? Why weren't you there when a 9-year-old was killed in CV Circle? Where were you at when 2 died in Old Sacramento? Understand what we're saying. I don't care if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people dead. A 9-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old. We should all have the same response when it comes to gun violence in our community. This is not one problem that we can fix and blame it on one entity. This is not law enforcement's issue. This is not the public officials that we elect's issue. This is an issue with us as a community. And where we stand moving forward today, in this moment, will tell us what this city is going to look like.
Care for each other.
Not only care for each other, support each other. And let's not just support each other in tragedy. In this moment, where it feels good, My frustration and my anger is after the protest of George Floyd in 2020, when it felt like the nation was going in the right direction. We're right back here in 2022 like nothing has ever changed. Like we did not witness all of the protest, all of the frustration, all of the tears and the anger and the voices of the voiceless. We pretended that just never happened. And here we are again, fighting a constant issue that communities are poverty-stricken, communities that lack resources deal with every day, which is gun violence that is now plaguing our safe streets. So how do we move forward?
Too late for that.
What do we say to our young people? What do we say to the shooters before they shoot? Who do we call for the calm? I say we call for ourselves. I say we call the people. I say we look at ourselves and we figure out ways for us to unify. This is a time to do what, family? I said this is a time to do what, family? I said this is a time to do what, family? I need more passion than that. I said this is a time to do what, family? Okay, that's a little bit better. All right, got a little bit more energy on that one. If it's not in your heart, if it's not in your soul, if you're not passionate, or you're looking for a purpose, this is now the time to no longer worry about petty beefs, politics as usual, because I may disagree with the mayor doing this or a city council member doing that, and picking out the appropriate time when we must challenge law enforcement. We must now unify to let people understand that Sacramento will not be a city where people cannot feel safe in. Sacramento will not be a city that's drawn with gun violence. Sacramento will not be a destination city where people are walking in fear. Sacramento is a growing city. I believe in this city. I remember when I remember down here on K Street, nobody wanted to go on K Street. You remember that? Young G, he knows that. Thought, man, I didn't want to go here anyway. And then I watched the streets get paved with gold. I always ask the mayor, can we do this in other parts of the city? But we'll talk about that later. But I understood and I had gratitude to understand when I had folks coming from out of town. Or I knew I wanted to hang out with some other people, that I could go to a place, because every city needs a vibrant area that excites individuals. We need a destination place. So this city growing in this way is good for all of us. It saves us. It builds character. It makes more people want to come to this city. But if we are riddled with gun violence, not only in this area, but in all other areas, here are we at. And where do we move forward? And that moving forward starts with all of us. We must be the change we want to see. And we must speak it loudly, and we must speak it clearly. And we cannot allow today to be the last day we have this conversation, or be the last day we all show up. We have to make this a continuum. We have to be able to walk down there with the other families and go there and not say anything, but just be there in love and unity. So when we're done, let's walk down there and just be with community. Be with the pain. Be with the uncomfortable. The comfort in us is no longer there. Every city that we see in the nation has been riddled with gun violence. We cannot allow our city to be that one.
Right.
Keep going.
Okay,
Keep going.
So I hope that this is just not a moment that we're in, because it seems that we've been in too many moments in our city. This is not a reflection of our city, but unfortunately, This is our city right now, and we must put the pressure on law enforcement to make sure they're getting the illegal guns off our streets. We must make sure our public officials put more investment in not only community organizations and youth organizations, but other communities that are impoverished, that are not getting the opportunities, that are not getting the access. This is the time that we make sure we don't look at it on a note. We make sure this is what you said at this moment, and we want that done today. And we have it with our public officials that you guys are going to honor, putting more support in all the investments that we see fit to move forward to. Yes?
Yes, sir.
You guys heard that?
Yes, sir.
Did we hear what?
Yes, sir.
More money for young people, more money to fight gun violence.
Yes.
More money for the community. Better believe it.
This is now going to be our marching orders. Hold everyone accountable. Hold the people in our community accountable. Hold our public officials accountable. Hold our law enforcement accountable. Hold ourselves accountable. This is what we have to do moving forward. The act of violence, this cowardly act, it's shameful. It makes no sense. And it shouldn't ever happen in our city. And I hope we're never here again in this moment in our city. Let's take space with each other. Let's learn and let's build. Let's talk to each other. Let's get familiar with each other today. Let's just not move and walk away, because this moment is not about a moment for us to just yell and be angry. This is a moment for us to start healing, speaking truth, and finding solutions to the problems and the issues that we face. Gun violence will affect everyone here one day. Today, it's those 6 people. Tomorrow, it can be you. I ask you today, what are you going to do to make sure tomorrow is better? I leave you with that, my family. For everyone, can we get, because I want to make sure the cameras see this. Can we get everybody with candles up here, please? Don't be afraid. Or we'll come over to you guys. Which one? Come on. Okay, you want to read a poem? Hold on, we got a poem which you want to read. Go
I
ahead.
would love to read this poem for the families. She asked me to kill the spider. Instead, I got the most peaceful weapons I can find. I take a cup and a napkin. I catch the spider, put it outside, and allow it to walk away. If I am ever caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, just being alive and not bothering anyone, I hope that I am greeted with the same kind of mercy. And that's given to us by Rudy Francisco. Mercy. Let us not seek vengeance heavy upon our heart, because peace is a verb. Peace is a doing thing. That's what we have to do. Find mercy for ourselves and others. Peace is a verb. Thank you.
Just want to reiterate one of the council members that just told me, and I think this is a moment where we have to really look at it as we're angry and folks are frustrated at this situation that's happening. We have to be very clear that even though there are shooters that are still out on the streets, that those shooters have a family, and those families don't deserve any kind of retaliation.
Yes.
If anything, we need to love on those family members at this particular time.
Thank you.
We don't need revenge.
Thank you.
We don't need an eye for an eye. An eye for an eye is probably what got us here. And as much as it pains, I know other family members who are dealing with the grief as of right now, we don't need that kind of destruction in our city. We've seen it too much. We've seen retaliation, and all it adds up is to casket and caskets.
Right.
More funeral arrangements. So even in a time of grief, we must have compassion for those that committed these heinous acts. And realize not only are they people, but they had family too. So let's put that in our heart to also pray for them.
Thank you.
To also pray for them. To also lift them up. Because I know the embarrassment, the frustration, and the anger that their family members are probably feeling to being thrust in the spotlight for those walking around. It's probably nothing compared to those who have to bury a life. But we really lost multiple people besides 6.
That's right.
Whoever created this chaos, once they get caught, we lose more people to assist them. And that's not good for any of us. So let's walk in love. Let's walk in Sacramento pride. I'm not born from Sacramento, but I feel I am Sacramento. And let's learn our neighbors. Let's not be afraid of our neighbors. Let's not be afraid of being different. Let's not be afraid of having conversation. When this brother got up here, I'm sure someone in the back was like, what is he going to say? But I say, let him say it. Because we need real, raw emotions to change what we are too comfortable looking at every day when it comes to this city. A city of diversity will prove it in your investments. Prove it on where you put your money. Prove it on how you show up. And prove it on the policies that you make. We are the change people, and we are Sacramento. And we will stay Sacramento strong even in this tragic moment. Because it is just a moment. Thank you.